and girls, we are back on the ShockCast after a nice long vacation. I am well turkeyed, I am well tanned. Ryan, I went away.
I know, I heard, and it seemed really exciting. So
I went to the Dominican Republic, Ryan, to a 5-star resort where I was waited on hand and foot. I had concierges, a personal concierge, who was like, if you need anything, call me. I was like, hey, can I get like 5 more Presidentes? He's like, here's 8, man. And I was like, awesome, here's $3. I've never seen money before, thank you. And yeah, it was amazing. I realized I needed to take more vacations, so I'm going to do that. And then that's it. Goodbye, guys. No, thank you guys again. Thanks for being so patient. You're finally, we've been trying to record, except someone here decided to have a social life and go see plays and shows.
Sorry, it was
Mr. Highbrow here, just canceling ShockCast dates when it was like, oh no, I got tickets to so and so, and blah, blah, blah. And there you go. So the lack of ShockCast, just blame Ryan. That's what I've been doing, and it's worked out fine for me so far. But other than that, Ryan, things have happened. Lots of video game news, and usually that doesn't happen in December, which is weird because December is when, the avalanche of games is settled. People are now playing them, and no one is paying attention. But 2 major events happened there. Oh, I love that. Is that the snobby Ryan look?
Oh, this is the highbrow Ryan look. There's no top hat, so I'm just gonna have to go with this. But anyway, yeah. So
Ryan, yeah. Professor Video Game Ryan. So
exactly. So yeah, a lot of stuff happened since the last time we recorded.
So I think this week we're gonna skip new releases just because there's so much stuff to get into, and I also don't want to I'm still kind of super tired, so I don't want to. It's not making a super long podcast, but there's a lot to talk about. So let's talk about one of the 2 events that happened. The PlayStation Experience happened over the week, or over a weekend where this was going on, and the Video Game Awards.
So I was gonna say, there was the Video Game Awards, which was Friday, December 5th, so about a week ago, about like a week, a little more than a week ago.
Were you able to catch it at all?
I was able to catch it. Yeah, I was there. I wasn't actually at the awards, but I was watching. I got home from work and I watched the live stream of it on Twitch, and I was helping the report cover, a lot of the new trailers and announcements and things like that were being shown. So I watched the whole thing, and I have to say, honestly, I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of hesitant, given last year was kind of a train wreck with the VGX Awards. So I think
see that they were trying to do something, but it just wasn't working.
I think it's not, I think this year especially that because they were able, because they weren't doing it on like Spike or a broadcast network, they were doing it through Twitch. They had a little bit more free reign to kind of do what they want, especially with Jeff Keighley, I think, kind of breaking from the VGAs and all the marketing and the sponsorships and all that stuff that kind of have dragged the awards down before. And this time it felt more like an actual award show, which was nice, rather than before where it's just a 2.5, 3 hour trailer dump where it's just it's all like trailers and new games and stuff.
Yeah, it seemed more like a formal. I like the way it looked from the clips I saw, because like I said, I was on a beach, like trying to catch some of it on my phone. I'm like, oh, what's a nice game of the year? Don't care. Give me another mojito. But we have the list of winners here, so let's go for the big one. The game of the year was Dragon Age Inquisition, which I reviewed it. I loved it, so I have no qualms about giving that game of the year because it is a fantastic game. And I also like how the show kind of just smooth, just flew right by, which is great. Wasn't overly lingering. It was an award show. So let's go for the jury voted. This were for these award show. I think they select 30 game journalists who kind of they get the ballots, like they do with the Spike Awards.
Similar.
They get the ballots and they vote. Kind of like the Academy of Video Game journalists. So they voted the best performance in a video game. Trey Parker as various voices in South Park and The Stick of Truth, which I guess so. I mean, if you want to, I was surprised not that Troy Baker didn't get any of this.
Yeah, but I think, given how many performances he's had this year, between last year he had a handful, and this year he was in everything. I thought it was a nice surprise, and it was really good, especially just because South Park, getting Trey Parker do all the voices was great, and it really helped it made the game feel like South Park. So.
Yeah, it was a great game that had great fan service. So if you were a fan of South Park, you kind of playing this game, you're like, all right, like I get these references. Even someone like me who I haven't seen South Park since maybe like the first season, I still kind of picked up a lot of the references and the humor, and the humor held up, which is really weird in video games because humor, you got to keep it a very short game or just keep kind of throwing enough crazy crap at people to keep them interested. All right, best score and soundtrack, Destiny. Yeah, Destiny had some pretty good music, the good ambient noise. Best online experience went to Destiny, which I was like, wow, really? Because I remember being just bored to tears playing Destiny. But like I said, I didn't vote for it, and like I know other journalists who are still playing Destiny right now and love every second of it. I think it was one of those games that's just I'm not super into. You didn't really play much of Destiny, did you?
No, I haven't played any of Destiny yet. So, but now I have a PS4 now, so hopefully I'll get around to it soon, maybe over the holidays. So.
Good. That's true. I have Destiny also. Maybe we could raid. We can gather notes of light to level up our armor. Yeah. People try to. I still don't know how to level up in that game after 20, so I would just assume that's just me being dumb. But best mobile or handheld game, no surprise, Hearthstone. It is maybe the best game ever. So the fact that didn't win Game of the Year is frustrating. Developer of the Year, Nintendo. Which, you know what? This seemed like Nintendo's year.
Yeah, especially for the Wii U, given like how many awesome games they had this year.
Yeah.
You know, beating out a lot of the other big exclusives this year. Like, I definitely
considering
it was deserved. So.
Yeah, considering this was like the big console war, PS4 and Xbox One, Nintendo was consistently throwing out really good games that justify the purchase of the hardware, which is kind of what you want in a console war. Because like we're all sitting around, we're all picking up consoles because they're cheap, and then it's kind of like, what do I play on this? And it's like, well, there's nothing. You're like, fuck. Where do we leave off? Best fighting game, Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. Sure. I guess we could guess. I guess Super Smash Bros. I have my copy here. I've yet to play it. I'm gonna do a video maybe later tonight and see like what the big fuss is all about. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting to try. Best sports racing game, Mario Kart 8. Yes, fine. I think Mario. It is better than Drive Club.
It's all about the Luigi Death Stare. So
yeah. That sealed the deal. Best shooter, Far Cry 4. Me and you are playing Far Cry. We're gonna talk about a little bit about that later. But yeah, deservedly, that's a Far Cry-ass Far Cry game.
It is. Yeah.
Best narrative, Valiant Hearts: The Great War. You reviewed it, I believe, right?
I did, yeah. I think it's a good choice. Especially on given that game was so heavily focused on the story and all that. Even if the game parts of it I wasn't really as much of a fan of, it definitely had a really strong story. So I think that's a good choice. And
Games for Change also was Valiant Hearts: The Great War, and showing us the depiction of war and blah blah blah. Like, okay, fine, it's a game that made you feel. I can go for that. Best indie game was Shovel Knight. I haven't played Shovel Knight, but I hear nothing but good things about it. So
yeah, I played a little bit of it. It is a great game. For the bits and pieces I have played of it, but it's one of those games that's really good because it doesn't. Rather than just trying to be nostalgic for the sake of being nostalgic, it feels like an NES game that came out this year, that could have come out 20 years ago. So, yeah.
And my favorite category was the best remastered game.
Because there were so many of them this year, and they're still coming. So
I feel like I've reviewed a bunch of them, and that went to Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously, because that was a game that looked like it was just built from scratch again and completely overhauled, deservingly. Because I'm thinking of all the other games that are just re-releases, like Sleeping Dogs. As much as I love Sleeping Dogs, the game itself, the definitive edition really didn't do, and it's just hey, we're stretching it out and making it shinier, and that was it. And to me, that's not. If you're gonna remaster, you got to go deep and just redo the textures, man. I like textures. Best action adventure game, Shadow of Mordor. Yeah. That game came out that game came out at the right time. I feel like this game came out early in the year. This probably would have been overlooked by a lot of by a lot of voters, and maybe. Let's see. Best role-playing game, Dragon Age Inquisition, obviously, because it's fucking awesome. And best family game, Mario Kart 8. Yeah, I guess. Like I said, I can't wait to get the setup where I have multiple people who are trying to play Smash Brothers or Mario Kart. I'm curious to see. As a new Wii U owner, I am excited and terrified because that means I'm gonna have to start inviting people over my house to play. We're standing from the screen doing this. And, I don't think I'm looking forward to that. As soon as it's 8 o'clock, I want people to leave my home. I'm ready for bed. And then there was fan choice awards, so people got fans got to vote and do all that stuff. So Trending gamer was Total Biscuit. Best esports player was Matthew Nadeshot Hag. Most anticipated game of 2015, The Witcher 3, obviously. And best esports team of the year, Ninjas in Pajamas, which is by far the best name for anything ever. And the best fan creation, Twitch Plays Pokemon, which, if you have not followed that saga, you should. It is the best kind.
It feels like it was like 5 years ago now at this point.
Yeah,
It's just like
it was earlier this year, but it shows you like the internet at its worst, but also being its very best.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see more Twitch plays everything. All right, so that award show's out of the way. I thought it was actually a fine award show. I like the way it was streamed. Everyone can watch it. Kudos to Jeff Keighley for like separating himself from Spike TV, because Spike TV will have something like the VGXs this year, so I'm kind of curious to see where that's gonna play, and what's that gonna look like, because like I said, last year was essentially a train wreck, a flaming train wreck with people flying out and like, no, put me out of my misery, like it was bad.
It feels like a more earnest attempt at actually having like a credible, game award show, which was a nice change of pace especially from last year, because I just remember how god awful last year's. Like I couldn't even last year's award show, I couldn't even watch the whole thing because it was that bad. So.
Yeah, it was pretty unwatchable for the most part. But some other things happened the same weekend. The PlayStation Experience, the weekend-long event over in Las Vegas, it was a fan event. So if you were a PlayStation person, you bought a ticket, you can try out some new games. But they also had the big keynote where they showed off some really cool things. And
it's almost like it was one of those, because I was up with a couple of other staff writers helping to cover the event, and it was just the amount of things they announced during the keynote was about like 3 hours or so. The amount of stuff, like it was hard to keep up, even just like with what they were announcing, because there was just so much of it that they were showing. So it was like on par with an E3 like press event. It was nuts. So
it was, I believe the thing was over like 2 hours worth of just announcements and videos just going up, which
pretty
is
much
insane. So if you're catching up, check out the site, because we covered it really well. I was checking our site for updates as far as like, and I guess we'll go with the biggest one. The biggest announcement at the PlayStation event was that Street Fighter V, Ryan. I know you're big in the fighting game community, and you're about them joysticks and the quarter moon fierce punches.
I am in Smash Brothers. In everything else, not as much. But yeah, I mean, it is exciting just because like fighting games, are a niche genre. And but a really like niche genre, but a dedicated like really hardcore group. So having Street Fighter announced, and also they announced that it's going to be a PC and PS4 exclusive, which didn't really surprise me. Even though I think with Street Fighter 4, a lot of people preferred the Xbox version just because the netcode is better, and like the Xbox Live netcode was better. But it doesn't really come as a surprise to me, because I mean, Microsoft already has like Dead or Alive and Killer Instinct and a lot of those series. So
yeah, so it made sense for PlayStation to kind of like lock down a fighting game just for them, and I think Street Fighter was maybe the best choice, because it's it's Street Fighter, it's the staple of fighting games, where that is the first and last fighting game a lot of people will ever play. So I think to have that on PS4 makes a lot of sense. And I can't wait to see what kind of cool fight stick they have, just because as much as I love that DualShock 4 controller, I feel like I will destroy those joysticks and trying to like quarter move and do all that stuff. Like I hope for that. And I think for tournament play, people aren't going to care, because for tournament play, people use a fight stick anyway, so I don't think the controller really matters. But like you said, it was an issue that just the Xbox 360 version just had a better netcode, and it was more stable, especially when you're putting together these events, or when you're just kind of
or
when you're playing online and practicing,
when you're playing online and precision counts. So
but that was huge. It made me wonder what Xbox will do to lock down. And I was thinking, oh man, wouldn't it be weird if they just went and like scooped up Tekken or something, or like Dead, or they bring back Dead or Alive, or they bring back that stupid Star Wars fighting game, the Masters of Kurosawa, and I'm like, that'd be what they would announce, like something dumb with that. But no, I thought that was a fantastic get for them. And the show opened with Uncharted 4: A Thief's End.
It did, yeah. They opened with about like a 15 to 20 minute gameplay demo. So this is the first time that we've actually seen gameplay itself. So which was exciting. It does. It looks really nice. I thought the demo itself was kind of underwhelming. Like, I didn't think it was like, there weren't really a lot of moments I thought that were like, super like. I don't think it was the same as like The Last of Us, which The Last of Us I felt like, even though they were canned demos that had like some extra stuff thrown in that wasn't in the game. I just thought it looks nice. I just didn't think there were as many moments like as The Last of Us when they showed that when I was like, wow, like I need to play this. So
Right. I mean, it looked like an Uncharted game, which is not an
yeah,
insult because it's like Uncharted's a really fun game. It just
yeah.
made me kind of wish. I'm like, we just came off like Last of Us. I would have loved to see them do something else and then to kind of go back to. And I get it. It's a new console that doesn't have an Uncharted game, so it's like, yeah, we kind of have to make one. But I would have loved to just wait a little while longer and see what else they were kind of cooking up. But I mean, it looked good. I like a lot of the moves. It was a lot of climbing and like that. I feel like if that demo could have been trimmed down just a bit and just maybe highlight a bit of the action or some more, like we like the cutscene. So it was a lot of Nathan Drake just kind of like talking to himself and going through this. And he's got a brother. It ended with him talking to his older brother, which I forgot
Played
what his
by
name was.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but played by Troy Baker.
Yes.
As
In the weirdest kind of commentary on just games, it's like, yeah, we've got Nolan North and Troy Baker in the same fucking game, and
I mean, it's not the
they're
first.
playing family.
They've been together in games before. They were together in The Last of Us, and
And
I
Batman,
think
Batman also.
yeah, and I think Shadow Mordor too. I think they were together at some point too. But yeah, it's it is just funny seeing them together again, and but playing brothers and stuff. So, but yeah, I thought the demo overall was pretty cool. And I guess it didn't surprise me that that's what they opened with because that's kind of what everyone was probably looking forward to the
Mhm.
most, aside from maybe like Bloodborne and things like that. So.
Yeah, that and I believe there was an unconfirmed confirmation of a God of War game being worked on, which it was to no
Yeah, I
one's
think
surprise. It was just kind of
yeah.
yeah, makes sense. We don't know what Kratos is going to kill this time,
Yeah,
so
when I heard rumors about that, I was just kind of like, like I don't want another one, but
like
I
I'm
mean,
over God. I'm over. I'm like I just want to put a button on God of War and move on. And for whatever reason we won't. And I'm just let's just go from here. Like or at least surprise us and make the next one like a female protagonist where a female God of War who kills Kratos or something. Some nonsense like that. But don't give me any
they
more.
they did do the female God of War game. It was Heavenly Sword, so there was that.
Whoa,
But
whoa.
uh, but yeah, no, I don't know. Like if they can spin God of War in a new way, I'd be okay with that. Whether they change the character or do something like that. But if it's another game where it's Kratos going and getting vengeance on something, I'm not down. I'm gonna pass on it. As good as it will probably look, because
Yeah,
it'll look spectacular. But
I'm kind of over games looking spectacular. I'm like just be insanely fun and I'll be totally okay with that. To me, that's a bigger. To me, that's
yeah.
better than me than just like, oh, look, you can climb up look at his veins, and he's got a million polygons on there. And what else was there? We saw an extended gameplay video of No Man's Sky, which looks kind of cool. I mean, I still don't know what's happening in there, but we kind of got an idea of like we're leaving and entering an atmosphere. This is me flying a plane. This is me seeing like a brontosaurus. I don't know what it is. But I'm more and more determined to get my hands on that game, just because it
I'm
looks
sure.
it looks amazing. I love that. I
Yeah.
thought that music for that trailer was really good.
I do.
Kind of sold
I
me on it.
really, really love I love the visuals and the music are really, really great. And yeah, I mean, I don't know yet what the game is or what it's going to be. But I am looking forward to it. I think I'm just kind of hesitant to be like super all over it because it sounds too ambitious. I feel like to be good, like too good to be true. So that's kind of what I'm
Yeah,
being a little hesitant, because I feel like they say, oh, there's going to be infinite worlds and universes, but I feel like it's going to be something a lot simpler than that.
yeah, and I feel like people are excited, given because it does look like a great game. But I think people are making it more than what it is. Outside of it just being, I think it's just going to be an exploration game. You just fly around the ship, you get material, very Minecraftian. You just kind of go out into space and just experience. But
Yeah,
but yeah, I think people are expecting kind of like I want a dogfight, like a Star Citizen type game, and it's like I don't think that's what we're getting. I think we're getting something a little bit more kind of nuanced, more like kind of more chill. It's a game where if you're just kind of like knock back a couple and just explore the universe, I think No Man's Sky will probably be before that. Shuhei is going to be in Super Time Force Ultra as a playable character, and he shoots out little tweets at people.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I thought that was a great little thing they added. And on the same note too, they added Kratos in Shovel Knight, which is good. So yeah, they added Kratos in Shovel Knight as like a boss, I believe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the things during the show. They announced a couple new games coming to Vita, which is really nice. All indie games, but they announced like Shovel Knight, Banner Saga.
Banner
Off of
Saga, yeah.
Dead. Yeah,
Mm,
so it's nice that Towerfall Ascension also coming. So a lot of really great indie games that came out like throughout this
yeah.
year. So I'm
Well,
glad that the Vita's getting some love, and they're
yeah.
not completely abandoning it.
Yeah, I mean, the Vita is turning into just an indie box,
Yeah,
which is fine because I think the original intent people weren't too thrilled with because we weren't
yeah,
getting these AAA like look at Killzone on this. I'm like, well, Killzone is fucking hot garbage. This is not why I got a Vita, and like
yeah.
I kind of don't know why anyone would get a Vita at this point because I'm just like, where would you play these games if you already have like a Game Boy or like a lot of these indie games have already been out on PC for God knows how long.
Yeah.
But
But I think it's a good focus because like getting these games that are going to be like $10 to $15 on the PlayStation Network store,
mm,
on the Vita is great. And aside from having it as like a PS4 remote play accessory, you're getting some really awesome games on it. So
They showed the third part trailer for Batman Arkham Knight where we got to see more Scarecrow, and I'm like, oh, more Scarecrow. I hate these Scarecrow scenes, but the game
I
looks
liked them.
good.
I liked them in Arkham Asylum. I thought they were really cool. But anyway, I was
I'm
like,
over the Scarecrow scenes. I'm over the Mad Hatter sequences. I'm like, we can do something else. We can give Batman other drugs to have him like freak out.
that's
Like,
true.
I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just kind of tired of that. But the game it looks good. It's just like I'm like, all right, I'm ready, Batman. Like when are you coming out where I can start playing you? They also showed MLB 15 the show, which I'm gonna get because it's a fucking fantastic game. And that game can usually do no wrong. They also showed The Forest, which kind of looks like a fun, survival game where you're being chased on mutants and you have to build stuff, and that's good. Killing Floor 2, The Order, 1886.
Hmm.
They showed another gameplay trailer, and I was kind of not really. It looks nice, but for whatever reason, the more I see about that game, the more kind of bland it looks. And bland in a
Yeah.
way, in like the gameplay department. I mean, the game still looks stunning, but I'm seeing a lot of just like just cover, shoot a dude, cover, shoot a dude, cover, shoot a
Yeah.
dude. So yeah, so
I'm like I like the premise and I like the visuals and the style look really great, and obviously I mean it looks amazing. Like even when I played it on E3 on like a little like 24-inch TV, and it
hmm,
still looked fantastic even there. So I'm looking forward to that for that. But again, like the gameplay you kind of said, it's kind of just standard. Like if you played Gears of War or Uncharted or games like that, it's kind of
no.
you kind of know what to expect. But
I mean,
yeah,
I
I
do.
hope.
I do like the little touches they do, and like when he's behind cover, he puts his arm like over it to peek, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. But I'm like, that's not. I mean, they've got to show me some like really. I think what's going to sell that game is going to be like the crazy weaponry, and we're seeing just them fight people. Like I want to see more of like the monsters and weird shit happen, and I think that's maybe when that game's going to like really kind of show itself because I don't think it's showing all that well because it looks kind of like that Wolfenstein approach where it's like I've gone to steel labyrinths and shot Nazis before. You're not showing me anything new. And it was only until they got to like the weird stuff like Post Asylum where you're like, man, this game's fucking bananas. I'm in. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we need to see more of that for the order, kind of really for it to start clicking. So I think it might be that issue where it's like they can't show too much because they don't want to spoil too many things. But I'm like they might have to just pick better sequences to show because I don't think it's showing all that well. And Mr. David Jaffe's back with a video game.
He is, yeah.
Who knew? Drawn to Death, where I don't know what to make of it. It literally
It's
it looks like my notebook came to life when I was like.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Sunset Overdrive, just that kind of same spirit and stuff.
Mm,
Obviously, it looks really rough because it's very early.
yeah.
Like I don't even think they announced a release date, release window for the game
Mm.
yet. So I feel like it could be cool. I just think what they showed was, just was early, so
Yeah,
it's hard
I
to
mean,
get a good
I,
like.
I like the aesthetic. I like the idea of like everything looks like it came out of a page of a notebook, but I also found it like really kind of rough to follow what was going on because it was just
Yeah,
a lot of white and some lines and some color, but it was like white kind of like dominates your screen. And if you're playing like a kind of like a Twitch shooter game, you kind of need to know what everything on your screen real estate does because you're just kind of like, I can't follow what's happening. And I mean, yeah, we'll see where it goes. And I like seeing David Jaffe. I like seeing him make games.
yeah.
So the fact that he's back, I was like kind of happy about. And they also announced Gang Beasts, which looks really good. Fat Princess Adventures, which also looks kind of fun. That's coming out on PS4. They also announced that Bastion is heading to the PS4. But I feel like I've played so many versions of Bastion where it's great that it's going on there, and I'm sure it's going to look fantastic. But I'm just I'm done with Bastion. But I'm like, you know what? I'm happy for Supergiant Games whenever they release stuff. So good for them. And then there was Skytorn, another kind of like a lot of cool like indie games that I was noticing, which was great. We also saw a trailer for King's Quest, which actually looks kind of cool. As someone who played King's Quest like super young in their kind of like gaming life, I was happy to see kind of the the reboot and seeing it looks kind of neat. I like there's that little adventure game resurgence, which I always kind of appreciate.
Yeah. It looked cool. I never played the original King's Quest, so I think a lot of the people that were saying like, "OMG, King's Quest is back," I was kind of lost on that because I never heard of or played the game at all. But
Yeah,
maybe
it
I'm
was
just
basically
a baby.
it was basically
So,
people who were like old as fuck. Like
yeah, I might have just been a baby and missed out on it. So
it happens.
They also they showed trailers for Until Dawn, which is the new PS4 exclusive coming next year.
Oh, right. I actually got to play that at Comic-Con at a PlayStation event, which was kind of neat. It's kind of like
cool.
it's kind of like Heavy Rain.
I was gonna say
horror.
the whole trailer reminds me of Heavy Rain just because it looks so similar. Like at first I had to look up and see whether it was actually a Quantic Dream game or not because it looks exactly like Heavy Rain and Beyond and.
But you can tell it was very Quantic Dream inspired.
It's very Quantic Dream-esque, yeah. But that's coming. So they showed the trailer and they announced it's coming summer 2015, which is cool. It's a nice, good game that'll fill out the summer a bit. And then they also showed Dying Light. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
And I think that kind of covers. I mean, I thought the event the event itself was really good. They showed off that new 20-year anniversary PlayStation 4 that looked like a PS1, which is amazing. But also immediately sold out, and it's going for like $3,200 online. I'm like, well, fuck that.
It's insane the prices that people have been selling it for. Yeah, it's crazy. And then even in the UK, they did a pop-up shop, so it was like a retro 90s inspired PlayStation like one-day store where you could go and get them for like £20 or something like that. It was nuts. It was pretty cool. So.
Oh, that's kind of neat. But I like seeing events like that, especially this time of year when, like I said, this is usually like a dead time. Oh my God! Whoa, Ryan, I almost forgot like the fucking big one. Final Fantasy VII is finally coming back. It's being remade. Sort of.
It's actually just going to be the PC port brought over to PS4. In probably the greatest instance of trolling I've ever seen at a mass event like that. It was great. I just remember.
Oh my God! Talk about totally just not understanding what your fans want.
Yeah, it's like when when you're a kid and at Christmas, you really want that like amazing gift that you've always wanted, like whether it's some kind of like game or book or something like that.
It's like asking for a Game Boy for Christmas, and they give you like a Leapster.
and your grandma gets you like a Leapster or something like that. Totally, yeah, it was great. So.
Oh man!
I just remember I was on Twitter as we were watching it. All of a sudden, I just saw people going, "Oh my God!" like in just all caps and like just waiting for it. And then they showed the crappy PC visuals from the game, and I was like, "What is happening right now?"
Yes, I love it. I could not like I was watching I was on vacation and I was seeing on like Twitter I'm like because I guess it was like a whole build up to this announcement and people were like Final Fantasy VII, oh my God, blah blah blah. I'm like no, because I remember reading an interview with some guy at Square and he says if we ever remake Final Fantasy VII, that is because we are in such dire straits that this is literally like our last ditch effort to make money. But that would be the only way Square Enix would sit there and be like, really consider building up right from nothing to make Final Fantasy VII again.
Yeah,
and
especially when they've got Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 and a bunch of other projects on their plate. There's no way. So
the game would be such a massive undertaking, meaning like they would have probably over 1,000 like to make it right. You need 1,000 people working on this game, kind of like how like Ubisoft works on games. Like 600 people work on this game because it gets tossed. That would be how you would rebuild your Final Fantasy VII HD remake, and we did not get that, and it's also going to be like $20. I was like, no, like what? I was just there laughing hysterically, watching people just do the full turn of like, oh my God, Final Fantasy VII, I can't believe it.
I know it was pretty great to build up to it, and then the
fucking PC port. I was like, yes. I was like, you're never gonna get that game, but they recovered, I will say, because they did announce that finally, Ryan, Suikoden 2 is coming to the PlayStation Store.
And Suikoden 1 as well.
Yeah, they're both going to be available on Vita. Suikoden 1 has always been out on the PlayStation Store, but Suikoden 2! Me and Kotaku's Jason Schreier, whenever we run into each other, we literally talk about a good 20 or so minutes about where the fuck is Suikoden 2, and then we start talking about Luca Blight and how he's the greatest bad guy in any RPG ever, and we would freak out and be like, who do we talk, who can we talk to? And then we have a friend who does PR for Konami, and we're always like, hey, we're Suikoden 2, blah blah blah, isn't that coming? She's like, stop it, you fucking assholes, I don't know. And then she's always like, legal stuff, and that's just their way of just saying, like, I don't want to talk about this anymore, like, legal things we can't talk about Suikoden 2. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Like, is this and then we're like, is this a trademark thing? And they're like, no, all right, just it's not being made. Leave us alone. And I'm like, okay, but it is now, Ryan. I can't wait. I may have to go get a Vita now just so I can play.
Hashtag it's happening. So.
It's happening. So that was a better recovery from the. I at this point in my life, I don't need a Final Fantasy VII remake. You know what I mean? Like, if I go the rest of my life without, I rather it live in the past, because to me, it is a fantastic RPG if you don't think about it. Because when you do, that game is full of just massive plot holes, a lot of stuff that just doesn't make any fucking sense, and then you're just like, oh, maybe it is kind of mediocre. But since it was everyone's kind of first RPG, or first Japanese RPG, it's just, they hold it to such a high standard. They put it on like such a pedestal, and I'm like, if you got a chance to replay that game, it better be a massive HD remake. But then also, it's just like this, you'd be disappointed because it won't be the game you want. And that's the problem when we waited so long.
That's a game I feel like would be like kind of a rose-colored glasses thing. Like you'd look fondly on it back when you played it, when you were a kid. But then you play it now, and a lot of the stuff probably just wouldn't hold up very well. So I only played a little of it. I never finished it, but I played a little bit of it. And,
I mean, the fact that like Barrett is just a blatant, just bad stereotype of a black person. You're like, I can't believe this was actually put in a video game.
Yep.
Like, holy shit! Like, they basically just made a Mr. T guy, and he was the only black guy in that universe, and he happened to be Mr. T with a Gatling gun hand, and it's just kind of like, oh, what happened here?
It was the 90s. They didn't care. So
yeah, it happens. It's just, I just assumed that Japan was not. They weren't being overtly racist or doing it on purpose. They were just like, oh no, well, we watched a couple of TV. We've seen The Wire, so we figured that's how black people are, right? No? And they're like, oh no, that's not how it works, Japan. And I'm like, oh well, ha. And like, no, just I can't. But Suikoden 2, good job there. Now we just need Part 3, because Part 3 is another great game that came out on PS2. We can just port that right up. Come on. You will see. I will probably buy that game, and I don't have a system to play it on, but I will buy it just to support it, Ryan.
Yeah.
Because God bless Suikoden. And I think we're going to wrap up with the news, because like I said, there's just a bunch of stuff out. And anything we'll miss, we'll probably talk about next week anyway. And like I said, we'll bring more people in. But Ryan, you reviewed a game. You went all Game of Thrones on us. You took some iron out of ice.
I did, and I played the Game of Thrones. I won, and I died, and I did everything in between. So
I also played Game of Thrones. I had it on the iPad, which
you did, cool.
Did not look great. It looks horrible, and the motion controls didn't quite work, so I had to peel the screen protector off it, because I wasn't getting this move that kept getting me game over. So I kept dying. So right in the beginning, right when the event happens where you're taking control of that squire, and I couldn't roll out of the way because it wasn't reading my gestures. So I had to like peel the thing off and like strike the iPad in a certain way where it finally registered it. And man, that game was, I really liked it, outside of just like it just kind of looked kind of hideous, but I dug it.
Yeah, I liked it. Overall, just because I know when they initially announced Game of Thrones, they announced it last year at the VGX Awards. They announced that they were doing it, and I was like, it's one of those things that like feels like it's a match made in heaven, because like Game of Thrones, follows all this political intrigue, and it's very dialogue heavy, and it follows like what Telltale's been doing with Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us like perfectly, and it's a great match. I think the first episode proved that, with a couple caveats, the visual style. I liked the environments and everything were really nice, but there's it just felt to me like this first episode kind of came together like kind of rushed and a little last minute, because some of the textures of some of the like objects and environments, especially some of the character models, do not look great.
It is a rough looking game.
Yeah, it definitely looked rough. The visual style, so this time they kind of went with more of like an oil painting sort of style, like
Mm,
rather than what they did for like their previous games, which is more like cartoony and kind of graphic novel like. This is more like, looks more like an oil painting, which
mm.
is cool. But like I noticed a lot of times that the characters, like when they were against the backgrounds, would kind of shimmer, and it was like
Yeah.
a weird looking effect. It looked like everything was like on fire all the time, or like it's like basically what it looked like. And some of the character models, like I thought like Tyrion and Cersei looked pretty good, and Ramsay as well, but like
Mm.
Marjorie Tyrell's character model looked awful in this game. It did
Yeah,
not look like Natalie Dormer. She looked so bad in this game. So
yeah. Like for whatever it looked like, her face was just completely pulled back, and it was just like
yeah, she
it
just looks
was.
really weird. Cersei, like some of them, I feel like have like not so much with the new characters because like obviously we haven't seen them before, but like the characters
Mm.
that were on the show, like Ramsay and Tyrion and Cersei, like they had kind of an uncanny valley thing going at some
Yeah.
points. So
No, they
it was a
look
little.
like that looks too much like Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like kind of said they looked like the like like the characters you kind of see in like a Disney theme park ride where they just look very like kind of robotic and animatronic, which some of the like it just like this game definitely I think out of all of Telltale's more recent stuff they've been doing, definitely feels the least not polished but just the roughest
Mm.
that out of all this year. So
But I liked where we're going. There was a nice, great twist at the end, which I kind of appreciate, which took me by
yes,
surprise.
it definitely took me surprised by some like
And
without spoiling anything, but
yeah,
like it was definitely a very big surprise
yeah, and
twist at the end. So.
definitely worth checking out because like even if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, I think it was just it's just a good fantasy story put together well.
I I won't agree with that. Just because I don't think newcomers to Game of Thrones should play this because it references a lot of the stuff. In
Okay,
this
yeah,
game.
that's true. That's a
I would
good
say
point.
I just meant because of that because the game starts at the Red Wedding, so if you don't know what's happening there, like you're going to be so lost. And
Yeah,
I
and if
feel
you're
like
planning, yeah, don't if you're planning on watching the show,
don't play the game.
don't play the game until you've
Yeah.
at least passed season 4.
Yeah, I would say like you're okay passing like season 3, maybe like a little bit of season
Mhm.
4, but the game is supposed to run from like the end of season 3 up to season 5 of the show. So definitely I don't think this is a good spot if you want to say, "Oh, I want to get into Game of Thrones." Don't start with the game because it's not a good spot. It constantly references a lot of things. It's going to be kind of hard to follow if you don't watch the show or read the books.
Hmm. But still good. I dug it. Like I said, I'm gonna do a video of the Xbox One version because I realized I forgot I bought it both on the iPad and on the Xbox One. So I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can do a video. Like I want to do it right way, or maybe do like a full run through of it maybe. And
Yeah, I mean it's good because the episode it's like 2 hours or so, so it's like it's easy enough to sit through like in one sitting, like any
yeah.
other Telltale episode they produced. So
But yeah, really liked it. If you're a fan, you should check out the game. And if you're even a fan of like Telltale games, this is another good Telltale game. Just it just looks a little rough. Like it was bad. I also felt like a lot of the like Cersei and Tyrion were just kind of crowbarred in there, and like Marjorie were just kind of crowbarred in there, be like, hey, you've seen the show, right? You recognize these guys, right? Yeah. Look like they're in this.
I
And,
actually like I thought they did a pretty good job of putting them in there and not make them feel just like blatant cameos. Like they had a specific role within the story and like like just the whole like kind of like politics surrounding the House Forrester and what they're trying to do. Like I felt like it was done in a smart way. It wasn't. I didn't feel like it was just like, oh, here's Tyrion, here's Cersei, haha, like that kind. And especially I think Ramsay was my favorite out of all the characters because he was
Oh, yeah,
just terrifying.
yeah,
And he was just so good.
He steals every scene that he's in, which is great. And like,
Yeah, and especially because he's a character you don't see as much in the show. Like you only see him like for one storyline basically in the show. So it's nice that they can kind of expand on some of these characters. I think Ramsay's a great villain that they've
yeah, because you know what, you see him so like you only see him in the show doing like evil shit. So it's like, oh, maybe if they expand on him a little bit, maybe we find out why he's so like maybe he's more than just like a monster. And then you're like, oh no, he's a monster all the time.
He's just
like,
a twisted bastard. Like
yeah,
it
like,
was
we're,
great.
we're not missing anything. He's like, oh no, he's a jerk all the time. Like he's
Yeah.
the worst. But yeah, great twist at the end, and like I'm looking forward to the episode 2 because that should be fun. And they're doing 6 episodes, right?
Yes, yeah. This one's going to be
6.
6 episodes as opposed to the usual 5. They usually do 5. This one's going to be an extra 6
Yeah.
episodes.
Hopefully, if they're on top of things and they just crank them out one every month for or Tales of Borderlands, Game of Thrones, Tales of Borderlands, and hopefully they can do that without delay. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I just hope that the visual style gets a little polished more for the next episodes, just because it looked really rough. I felt like in the first episode. So, but otherwise, yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. And speaking of things that are not good, That's a bad transition. But you also got to play Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal. Please tell me more about that.
Um, so you know all those times that Sonic or that Sega's tried to reboot Sonic and
Yes,
give
yes.
him
He was a werewolf. He was a knight. He drove a car, even though he runs really fast. He was a pinball guy. He was in 3D for like a minute.
Yep.
He ran away from a whale in that one Dreamcast version. I remember you run up the dock and there's
Yeah.
a whale chasing
Well,
you.
you know the thing about like how all those games have tried and they've kind of failed miserably to to reinvent Sonic and make him like cool again and relevant again and how many times you've been excited and hoped that maybe this would be the one to finally like make Sonic cool again.
Uh,
Yes, this is not the game, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. So, but
Surprisingly.
yeah. So I played Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, which is the new 3DS Sonic game, and then there's also Sonic Boom Rise of the Lyric, which I believe Christian reviewed on Wii U. So both these games are coming alongside the new Sonic Boom Cartoon Network animated TV series.
Which is kind of good. I saw one this morning. Yesterday morning. The TV show. It's kind of dumb. Like Doctor Eggman loses his house, so he has to live with Sonic, and then everyone's annoyed because like, hey, Eggman's an asshole. Why does he live here? And Sonic's like, you know what? I don't even know. Like, it's so like it's dumb. The same way of like Teen Titans Go is, where it's just like. They're just kind of doing silly things with like their bad guys and stuff. And like for the 15 minutes I saw, I was like, oh, this isn't like the most horrible, god awful garbage fire I've seen.
Yeah,
before.
which is good, except the games are terrible. The 3DS game, not great. I was kind of disappointed because like I remember playing. I reviewed Sonic Lost World around the same time last year. So around last year I was reviewing a bad Sonic game. So of course this year I was reviewing another bad Sonic game. So. Like Sonic Lost World, at least it like tried to do some interesting things. I feel like Sonic Boom, tries to do that too, but it's just a lot of the problems the game are just mechanically and gameplay wise because it's a bit of a slower paced Sonic game. This one is a bit more focused on like puzzle solving and exploration and all that, but then it tries to cram in a lot of the typical Sonic stuff, the like going really fast and but it just a lot of it comes down to basically you run really fast, you hit a brick wall because you have to solve a puzzle or do something, and then you have to go and waste 10 minutes trying to solve that, and then go really fast, find another puzzle again. It got really monotonous really quickly. I felt like so.
So you're our resident Sonic guy, so I'm going to make sure that whenever Sonic things come up, we're like, yeah, Ryan should totally go to that. That's great.
Of course, yeah.
And what else we got? And also we've both been playing a lot of Far Cry 4.
We have both been playing a lot of Far Cry 4, so
I really like Far Cry 4.
It is, yeah. I was actually streaming it for most of the day today. I'm playing the PC version just because that they're like the Far Cry games are great, but they're like there's just so much to do. You could get lost very easily in them, and luckily Far Cry 4 keeps that, which is nice.
Yeah, we've been joking around. It feels like a Far Cry 3.5, which
it is. It is kind of the best way to describe it. So
it is more of the same, but when that same is still kind of fun, I'm okay. Like come Far Cry 5, if they're still doing this shit, then I'm gonna be a little bit upset. But I think they haven't Assassin's Creed this out yet. You know what I mean?
No, because they don't release the Far Cry games annually, so like and there is definitely just with Kyrat alone, like just the environment by itself is I feel like a really big, because the terrain is a lot different than the areas from Far Cry 3. This is more mountainous, so you can there's a lot more like kind of mobility stuff they add, like being able to use a grapple hook to like climb mountains and swing across like ledges and stuff. And then like the other stuff they brought in, like the the wingsuit from Far Cry 3 is back, but now you can use it to like leap from mountain to mountain and do really awesome shit. The helicopter, which is probably my favorite way of getting around, so it's great. Yeah,
I like the auto drive. That's my new favorite.
That is great too. It is nice just because there's like, especially because in a lot of areas there's a lot of trees and shit you have to try and avoid. So it is nice that can kind of help take out the equation. So like,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Narratively, it's just the car or the ATV is driving itself because there's a lot of times because a lot of times you'll be someone's chasing you, so you have to like drive and shoot, which is like damn near impossible. And so I just like, all right, I'll just auto drive for a bit. Like
it's tough. It's tough to do accurately. I mean, you can do it, and I have, but it is a lot easier. Like it is great. They have these helicopters that are like held on with duct tape and wires, but they have cars that are like self-aware and can drive themselves. So it's great. So But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I played a lot of Far Cry 3 earlier this year. So I was really excited to kind of jump back in with Far Cry 4.
Did you get that Blood Dragon gun with your Uplay points?
I did get the Blood Dragon gun. I've been using it constantly, and it is great.
Like
So I
that gun
mean,
is so OP. I love it because it has it's super powerful. It also fires like 6 rounds at a time,
and it has a
and
silencer.
and has a silencer and an extended magazine. So I'm literally just cleaning house, just and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
great.
should probably stop using that gun.
I love playing stealthy, and Far Cry is great for that because there's so much of it that's revolving around like stealth. So I tend to stick with more like the sniper rifles and the bow, especially. I really love. So having that pistol is really nice. But yeah, I mean my only criticism. I just feel like a lot of the criticisms I have of the game so far, I'm reviewing it. So hopefully by like next week I'll be able to have a review out hopefully by the end of the year. So
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of the criticisms I have for the game so far are holdovers from Far Cry 3, like especially when it comes to the story and the characters. Just because the characters are not great, the story is not great. I think better than Far Cry 3, but still, like AJ is not a really engaging character. Like he's just kind of bland.
I have
You know,
no idea why he's so good at everything. Like
I know
there's no indicator to tell me he had like any like military training, or he's just like, oh, I'm a base jumper in my free time. That's why I can do like extreme sports shit. Like no, he's just here's a gun, shoot people. And I was like, oh
yeah,
great.
I mean that's the problem I had too with Jason in Far Cry 3 was they tried playing him like him and AJ they tried playing him as these like average normal guys, but secretly in the game like in the game world they're like Navy SEAL like experts that can like climb and shoot like they're like
silent knife takedowns and grapple
like,
hooking, like getting the grapple hook up in one go. And I'm like, he knows how to drive a helicopter. Okay, great. Like
it's a little ridiculous. And also my other thing too is like with it was like with Pagan Min as the villain, like he's a great character and he's a lot of fun to watch, but like after the first 15 to 20 minutes of cutscenes and all that stuff, he disappears from the game other than like radio calls occasionally. And it was the same problem I had with Voss too in Far Cry 3. Like I love Voss was like probably one of my favorite like video game villains in a long time. But you only saw him like maybe 3 times in the entire game, and then he was.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it is kind of like a shooter, and it's like you can't have him just show up all the time either. Like you have to have kind of the game has to have legs on its own, where it's like we can't have the villain pop in every 20 minutes. But like he will chime in on the radio, but every once in a while, like I love watching the scenes of Pig and Min just being all pink suited crazy, and to me that works. But the thing is, I guess that can't be the whole game either, because then it's just kind of like it'll take something away from like the really crazy scenes.
Yeah, I mean, Far Cry in particular is all about freedom, and just kind of, and that's what it's best at. Is I feel like just the time, so it's like, okay, here's this world, go and do whatever you need to do, and it's great, for that. But I feel like I just wish that, like, same thing with Voss, like in Far Cry 3, it was like I kind of wish they just had more of a presence and were doing a little bit more rather than just being like chiming in on the radio, being like, oh hey, blah 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 blah, and doing that. But yeah.
And keeping with the theme, but yeah, Far Cry 4, awesome game so far. I think the review should be going up soon-ish, I want to say.
Yeah, hopefully within the next week or so. Just because we got our review copy kind of late, but I'm working on it as much as I can. So
yeah. It's going to be an Ubisoft next week or so because I just got my copy in of The Crew, and I'm like, wow, gee, thanks. It's only 2 weeks after the fucking game's come out, but yeah, I'm gonna work on The Crew, which I played the beta for it. I wasn't too kind of blown away by it, but I'm gonna give the PS4 version a go and maybe do another separate video and see how that goes. But yeah, looking forward to that. And sticking with Ubisoft news, Ryan, patch number 4 for Assassin's Creed Unity is coming tomorrow. The 15th. It's coming out December 15th. The 4th patch of the game that we're just gonna say it's just the incomplete Assassin's Creed game. It's missing some things, like the ability to not get lost in the environment or disappear to a haystack, that sort of thing. That's finally be patched. It's going to take care of a number of issues dealing with stability and performance, as well as online matchmaking and connectivity. And for optimal performance for after patch, you should install the latest drivers if you're using an AMD card, because that was the problem. Your drivers are out to date, Ryan. That's why Unity didn't work.
Yeah.
But Giuseppe reviewed it. He actually kind of liked it. But I'm glad other people review games outside of me, that aren't me, because I probably would have hammered this game a bit. But yeah, my word of warning is if you liked Assassin's Creed 3 or had no issue with Assassin's Creed 3, then you'll be fine with Unity. Like it's more of the same of that sort of gameplay. But I actually played through it over the break, and I was not blown away by it. I actually, there were moments where I'm like, this story's really dumb, and it is a nice looking game. Like there are moments where you're just perched up and seeing all the people hustle and bustle about, and you're like, hey, and I even show you in that video I did in my mustard yellow outfit. It is a neat looking game, but it just it's a full world that feels lifeless.
Yeah.
Because there's just people who aren't doing anything outside of their little scripted. I'm just gonna do dance, and I'm here all day just dancing away, and I'm just like, oh, like that's kind of lame. Like I always like the dynamic AI of like a Hitman game where the people have like little like, yeah, they're kind of crude, but they do little like routines and patrols, and they react to different things, and or like in Skyrim where people have like, this character has a life, this character needs to eat. If there's no food, he's gonna go out and find food, and you can interfere with that or not, or you can kill him, and then it's not a big deal. But yeah, that's I hope Unity becomes. I hope it gets put on a playable state. I think those are the words that are trying to come out of my mouth. Is I hope Unity becomes just playable for everyone and not just a couple of people who have no. Because there are people who just said, I've had no problem playing this game.
Yeah.
And then the issue becomes it's just a bad Assassin's Creed game at that point, which is like.
Yeah. I just hope more than anything it's like like not a lesson, but just like an example of especially given this season when there were so many games that launched with just major game-breaking issues and things like that, that at least like, with like the big slate of upcoming titles, that hopefully like that we won't have these kind of issues and things like that. Especially just, I mean, granted we'll miss out on all the hilarious like pictures and stuff of people with their faces missing and all that stuff, but
it's horrifying, right?
It was hilarious and horrifying at the same time. Not as horrifying, I feel like, as the NBA 2K15 like make your player face nightmares, but still pretty bad. So it's like.
You know what? I think that's all the news we're gonna cover. What you been playing, Ryan?
Well, as we said, a lot of Far Cry 4. I'm actually probably going to play a little bit more tonight, so if you want to check out our DualShockers Twitch stream, I'll be probably playing that for a little bit, so you can check out some Far Cry. And then Game of Thrones, played through that. I think we talked about it last time, but I played through the first episode of Tales from the Borderlands, which I also highly recommend. It was really, really fun, especially if you're into Borderlands, you'll really love it, but I don't think you have to love Borderlands to like it. It's still really fun. And then a lot of Smash Brothers, and I think that's it. It was pretty much, yeah, it was a lot of Far Cry right now just to get the review out, so.
Yeah, same here. I'm doing a lot of Far Cry. I'm finishing up GTA 5. I'm like at the last big heist. I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot how fun this was, so I'm running through that.
Yeah.
I've got The Crew on my plate. I also got Loadout on the PS4, where I'm waiting to be played and reviewed. I also got a Wii U recently with a bunch of games that I haven't even touched yet. So I'm gonna try to do some Smash Brothers time and do a proper Smash Brothers video.
Yeah.
And show you how it really is. Give you the real deal on Smash Brothers, not this like
we'll see
crazy
about
magical
that, so.
version that Ryan's playing. Like no. I'm gonna give you the real deal, son. My real impressions on Smash Brothers.
We'll see about that. So, but actually, no, same thing. I got a PS4 over the Black Friday weekend. So I got the bundle with GTA 5 and Last of Us. I've only had a chance to really play a little bit of it. I actually started playing Infamous Second Son a little bit, which is great. That's been one of the games I wanted to play most this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a sharp looking game. It just plays like an Infamous game. Whether take that as a positive or a negative, but it is an Infamous game.
Yeah, no, I loved the previous Infamous games, so I'm really looking forward to playing it. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, you'll dig it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to give this Wii U a try and see what the big fuss is all about. The Smash Brothers, Ryan. Maybe I'll be a Smash Bro like you. And,
we'll see. So, did you get any amiibos with your
No. I was thinking about it, but I didn't know which amiibo to get. I was thinking about getting either Samus, a Link, or Mario.
You definitely should, because over the Thanksgiving weekend, I played with a bunch of friends at home, and so we played with it was 7 of us, and we had one amiibo. We had a Link amiibo.
Uh-huh.
And so the amiibo he leveled up to level 50, which is the highest level you can get for an amiibo, and he kicked all of our asses. He just won like 90% of our matches and was just destroying it. So we ended up calling him Link the Destroyer because he was just unstoppable. It was hilarious that like
I also want to get a dumb Kirby amiibo too, because that just looks like a big fat pink golf ball. Like he looks kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great. I definitely want to try and get like a Villager amiibo, because Villager is just he's probably my favorite character I've been playing as. He's such a troll character, so I can't imagine what a level 50 amiibo would be like. Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, I can't wait to see how that works. And finally, if you like video game music, Giuseppe did an interview with Grasshopper manufacturers Akira Yamaoka, who's made music from Silent Hill to there's a new he's in a new David Argento film called The Sandman. He's doing that game Let It Die on PS4. He's doing all the music. So Giuseppe had like a really long conversation, 45 minutes or so, about just game music. He's a game music icon. Like game composers do just as much work as the person designing the game because they have to add mood and atmosphere with just sounds and music and all that. So it's very interesting to see how that sort of side of the game development works. So yeah, music seems fun. So check that out. It's on the site. It should be there. If not, just look through. It's like I said. I'm always curious seeing like kind of like people who've been in the industry that long and seeing it change from, like I said, he's been around PS1 era to PS4, and like there've been plenty of games in between, and plenty of hardware changes, and sound and stuff sounds better now. So how does that play into designing your music and composing your symphonies and all that stuff?
Yeah.
But yeah, so make sure to check that out. And like I said, I don't know if we did a shorter show today, but I wanted to do a shorter show, but just because I'm still super tired from my trip. I'm vacationed out, but there are going to be some videos coming out. I did a video for Far Cry 4, which should be posted up by the time you see this. Also, checked out Tiny Troopers on the PS4, which is kind of adorable. I'm leading little tiny cute soldiers through their cute tiny deaths, so that's always fun. And yeah, be sure I'm going to be doing Smash Brothers. Maybe I'll do a Zombie U video, just because why the hell not? But yeah, just some stuff coming in towards the end of the year, and I think we'll probably get everyone together for or try to get more people on for an end of the year podcast and talk about like our favorite games and our highlights. And
that time of the year already? I know
it's
like
that time
crazy,
of year again. So
yeah.
we're gonna check, and maybe there'll be some formal stuff on the site as far as like a game of the year. I don't think we really do like here's DualShockers game of the year, but there'll be some stuff up regarding best experiences for video gaming this year. So keep an eye out for that. Like I said, I'm back. I'm tan. I'm ready to go. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I'm good. I was your host. I was George Jimenez, staff writer at DualShockers.com. I don't think we did intros this year. We just got talking, which is super dumb. But I was George Jimenez, staff writer at DualShockers.com. My faithful companion, Ryan Meisler, also staff writer, video dude, DualShockers.com. Ryan, say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. I just had to make sure I got my highbrow mustache on before we.
I made sure to rap long enough so you can get your stupid special effects in. But
yeah, there we go.
But good on you. Real men grow it themselves, like me. Guys, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.